So the purpose of this video is to look at linear regression on the graphing calculator, specifically using a program that I've made available called LinRegJ2. So if I select program, the only program I have in my calculator is LinRegJ2, so you'll want to make sure that you have a copy of this program in order for this video to make sense to you. So what I'm going to do is remind you that, first of all, I have entered my data into L1 and L2. I previously have uploaded a video showing how to do linear regression on the graphing calculator using the already built-in features of the graphing calculator. And this data is midterm and final exam scores for a sample set of students from a class that I've taught in the past. L1 is the mid-year exam scores and L2 are the final exam scores. So I'm going to select program, and I'm going to run my program LinRegJ2. So I'll select that program. And in this program, pressing enter here, in this program, there are a couple of flaws. It's not perfect. Your data must be in L1 and L2. Okay, so here's a statement that your data must already be in L1 and L2. I press enter to continue, and the program will ask me, is your data in L1 and in L2? If you select no, the program is just going to close, kick you out, okay? And you'll need to go and put your data into L1 and L2. So I'm going to rerun my program. Data must be in L1 and L2. Is it in L1 and L2? Yes. And the calculator will come to a screen. And what I've done in this program is try to load in all the features from the calculator. The reason I originally wrote this program is that the calculator does not do a prediction nor a confidence interval with the data. And I wanted to write a program to do those. What I decided to do was just to build in to the program a menu will run all the aspects. So I don't need to do anything outside of this program as far as linear regression. If I select number 1, calculator will give me a scatter plot. Okay, I don't have to turn my plot on. I don't have to clear my y equals. Plot's there. Notice that up here in the upper right-hand corner, the circle is white and just kind of like sitting there. I'm spinning just slowly. That tells me that the program is paused. If I press enter again, I go back to the menu. Selecting number 2 is kind of like going stat calc linreg. Can I use option 4, the ax plus b? But I also have the program give us some information along the way that is used in the formulas that we're not using. Okay, but x bar, the mean of the mid-year exam scores was 71.8. Y bar, which would be the mean of L2, the mean of the final exam scores is a 66.6. And n is 33 because I have 33 pieces of data. Again, notice that my circle up here in the upper right is turning slowly, meaning it's paused. I press enter. Here's my regression equation. Again, the program is not elegant, it's functional. So my y is 0.67x plus 18.19. I have an r value of 0.757 and an r squared of 0.575. Pressing enter again takes me back to my menu. If you recall in the calculator, if you go to stat, test, all the way down near the bottom of the list, I believe it was option F, there's linreg t-test and a linreg t-interval. I built those features in right here into 3 and 4. So when I select option number 3, basically it just goes and runs that function, okay? Our null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis is that rho is not equal to 0. T is 6.46, P is 0.000. Degrees of freedom is 31. Okay, and I go back to my menu, number 4, the interval, confidence level. Now here's a flaw with the calculator. In this feature, I put in 95 for my 95% confidence interval. I press enter. And so my slope of my y hat regression equation, my sample regression equation is 0.674, which tells me that beta, the slope for my population data, would be somewhere between 0.461 and 0.887. So that's my confidence interval for beta, the slope of my regression line. I select enter. I now go back, and 5 and 6, like I said before, are the first features in this program that are not pre-built into the calculator. Number 5, the prediction interval, and I'm very sorry, here's flaw number 2. I didn't have it erase the screen, so ignore this stuff here. Suppose a student says, what if a student gets an 80 on the mid-year exam? What would you predict for their final exam? Again, my R squared was not 1. There are other factors that come into play here, but based on this data, for an X value of 80, I would predict a Y value of 72. So the predicted value on the final exam based solely on the mid-year of an 80 would be a 72.12. What's my level of confidence? I want to be 95% confident. This is different. Now I have to put in 0.95. It's just a flaw in my program. One of these days I will fix it. We've got an SE and an SY in case we care about those, SSE and SSY. We have a T value, margin of error. Okay, so I said if a student has his X value of 80, I would predict a Y hat of 72.1 with a margin of error of 14.5. So Y, my prediction interval, I'm 95% confident that a student with a mid-year exam of 80 is likely to get scores somewhere between 58 and 87, 57.6 and 86.6. For number 6, the confidence interval, same questions. If a student scored 80, for all students who scored 80, I would predict a mean of 72 for their final exam score. At a 95% level of confidence, I would predict that the mean of their final exam scores would be somewhere between a 69.1 and a 75.1. In other words, that 72 plus or minus a margin of error of 3. So make sure you study up on the difference between the prediction and the confidence interval. But as I've said in class, and you may have heard, the graphing calculator does not come pre-programmed doing the prediction nor the confidence interval. So the purpose of this program was simply to add those pieces in. Options 1 through 4 are just because I was writing the program, I might as well put it all into one menu. The last thing I'm going to tell you about my program is option 7. What many students will do in a program is do second quit and just quit out of the program. If you do that, it's going to jump me out. Okay, if I jump out of the program, it's not going to let me do it. But if I just jump out of the program, my program has set a scatter plot window. It's put some things into Y1. It's turned the stat plot on. It's done a number of things. In my quit option, if I press number 7, I've set the program to kind of try to clean up after itself and put some of those things back where they normally are. So I always recommend leaving the program through the quit option. And here you are back. Again, just a quick look at how to run the LinReg program.